Thank you, everybody. Welcome to meeting number 5 of this year. I am your chair, Jason Trombetta of Administration, Fire, and Finance Committee. Comments can be made to the members of the public for a matter that is on the agenda by advising the chair during the request to address items of the agenda section. The public may submit written comments for matters that are on the agenda to jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 on the day of the meeting for consideration by the committee. Comments received after 4:30 on the day of the committee will be considered at the following council meeting. Comments submitted are included for the record. The meeting is live streamed and recorded and available on the township website. Head on to number 2, our land acknowledgement statement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of the Niagara region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in rich history of the First Nations such as the Hattaway-Wendourong, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as a part of the Regional Municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardships on the land on which we live. Members of committee, before I take off there, Councillor Riley sends his regrets, and I'm assuming Councillor Chichuk, I was trying to get on Zoom, but I haven't seen her, so we'll wait and see if she does come in. Members of committee, any change in orders of items on the agenda? Seeing none, any disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest? Seeing none, we have no appointments. We have anybody look to our virtual side of things and see if anybody wants to request any items on the agenda?
Not seeing any, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. So we'll move on to consent agenda items. Item A23-24. Recommendation that Administration Finance Fire Committee hereby approve the following consent agenda items. 1 and 2 to be hereby received for information. 1, the Mayor Youth Advisory Committee, minutes of May 1st, 2024. And number 2, the West Lincoln Age Friendly Advisory Committee, minutes of May 10, 2024. Does anybody want to pull any of those items? Seeing none, I need a mover for that. Mayor Ganan, seconded by Councillor Bradrick. All those in favor of the consent agenda items? It's coming up. Waiting, Councillor Rayners. Yay or nay?
Yay.
There you go. Thank you. Moving on to communications, carries. Moving on to communications, Kathleen Wetzler, West Lincoln Heritage Committee, resignation from the West Lincoln Heritage Committee. The recommendation that the notice of the resignation received on May 31st, 2024 from Kathleen Wetzler, member of the West Lincoln Heritage Committee, be received with regrets, and that a bylaw 2023-03 being a bylaw of various appointments to boards and committees and municipal positions be amended to remove Kathleen Wetzler from Schedule B. Members Committee, I need a mover for that. Councillor Bradrick, seconded by Councillor Rayner. Any comments or questions? Sure, Councillor Bradrick.
Through you, Chair, to the clerk, will there be a posting for, I see not 1 but 2, for these positions?
Through the chair to Councillor Bradrick, yes, there will be a posting online for these openings, as well as we have attended the recent event that Mayor Ganan held at the Age-Friendly Forum, just looking for members and getting the word out there. So yes, there will be an update on the website with that opening of positions.
Great. So hopeful shout out to the community that there'll be just lots and lots of applications. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Councillor Bradrick. Any other questions or comments? And the vote will be in front of you. Moving on to staff reports. Item, no, I missed one? No.
It's like the exact same.
Sorry, did I miss something? Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed on there. Sorry, item A25-24, Martina Joel, West Lincoln Heritage Committee, resignation from the West Lincoln Heritage Committee. Recommendation that the notice of resignation received on June 12, 2024 from Martina Joel, member of the West Lincoln Heritage Committee, be received with regrets, and that a bylaw 2023-03, being a bylaw of various appointments to boards, committees, and municipal positions, be amended to remove Martina Joel from Schedule B. Need a mover and a seconder. Mayor Gannon, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Comments or questions on this resignation? Seeing none, the vote will be in front of you. And that carries. Thank you, members of the committee. Moving on to staff reports, item A2624, interim Chief Administration Officer and Treasurer Donna D. Philippus, recommendation report T11 2024 West Lincoln Memorial Hospital debenture issue. Read the recommendation report T11 2024 titled West Lincoln Memorial Hospital debenture issue dated June 17th, 2024 be received, and that the Township of West Lincoln hereby approve the grant funding of the Hamilton Health Sciences Corporation up to the amount of $4,524,850 towards the construction of the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital as it considers the local hospital project to be in the interest of the township, and that council acknowledge section 106 of the Municipal Act 2001, which prohibits financial assistance to commercial enterprises and confirms that the grant funds will be used only for the non-commercial capital component of the local hospital project, and that council approved the issue of debenture of the regional municipality of Niagara, $2,670,950 for a term not to exceed 20 years in order to provide a portion of the required grant funding, and the council confirms that the treasurer has updated the calculation to the township's annual repayment limit, which is within the provincial limit. I need a mover for that. Mayor Gannon, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Comments or questions on this? Go to Councillor Broderick.
Thank you very much, Chair, through you to Director of Finance, CAO, Ms. DeFilippis. The amount in number 2 is $4 million in change. However, the debenture is less than that. Can you explain the difference? And is the $4 million and change heading off to the Hamilton Health Sciences within this fiscal year?
Through you, Chairman Trebetta, to Councillor Broderick. So the difference between the two amounts in recommendation 2 and recommendation 4, the difference is made up through the hospital reserve, which the township has been contributing to. Historically, there was just over $1 million in that reserve that was collected prior to 2010. It was there for a significant time at the township. Then when we got word that the building was actually going to get rebuilt, we started contributing to a reserve through the tax levy. So we project that we'll have enough money in that reserve to make up the difference between these two numbers. And the second part of your question, we anticipate that the funds will be transferred in December or January. We're not quite sure yet. However, we may get the debenture sooner than that, and if we do, we would just keep it in the reserve until we're called upon it.
Okay, thank you very much. That answers my question.
Thank you, Councillor Broderick. Councillor Rayner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to the CAO, that $2,670,000, that's coming from the region?
Through you, Chairman Trebetta, through Councillor Rayner, the debenture is issued through the region, but the funds come through like the capital market. It's a debenture, so it's raised through the capital market, but it's considered the township's debt. It's just the town, we're not allowed to borrow as a lower tier, we have to borrow through the region.
Thank you, through you, Chair, to the acting CAO. Do they up the interest rates, the region, because they're the middleman in this?
Through you, Chairman Trebetta, to Councillor Rayner, the interest rates are set by the market, that the region does not make any revenue through this. It's legislatively, they have to do the borrowing for the lower tiers.
Okay, so there's nothing in it for the region, they're just a go-between.
Through you, Chairman Trombetta, to Councillor Rayner, it's following the Municipal Act. Only the upper tier can borrow.
All right, thank you. Through the chair again to the acting CAO. Can you explain for the people who are listening what non-commercial capital component means?
Through you, Chairman Trombetta, to Councillor Rayner. So it's really important that the grant that we're giving the hospital is only used for non-commercial. So we needed confirmation that it was not being used for building a coffee shop or anything that would bring a commercial gain to the hospital. So it's for the medical care of the hospital. So, you know, equipment, rooms for patients, the structure. It cannot be used for anything that could be commercial. You know, in a lot of hospitals, they might have a big lobby that has like stores in it or gift shops or food. This funding, it's been confirmed it cannot be used for anything like that.
Like a Tim Hortons in it.
All right, thank you. Just a comment further, Mr. Chair, if I may. I received a letter in the mail from the hospital fund. I opened it up. I was shocked to see that they've even got a section in there that if you want to put it in your will, you can send money to the hospital. I've got mixed emotions about this because you see the sunshine list from the Hamilton Health Services every year, and the ones making $600,000, $700,000, and $800,000 a year. And they're making a decision that we almost lost the name of our hospital. Thank goodness everybody likes the name everywhere and it fits and they don't want to change it, but they wanted to change it. And also the fact that personal experience through my family and other councillors here, that the service level is extremely bad, the triage, to the point where they have listened to me, so other people have listened to me and had their children there, got frustrated and drove to Dunnville and had them treated immediately. I'm just concerned that all this money is going there, paying a lot of wages, and is this going to mean, because we're doing all this, that the service level is going to be to a level that's at least equal to hospitals located in the area? This is a heck of a lot of money. There's a lot of things not run right down there, and there's a lot of frustration. Is this going to make things better? Otherwise, are we just throwing this away for a highfalutin building that's going to have the same problems it had before, except it's cost us a hell of a lot of money for nothing? I'm being honest, I'm being upfront. Personal experience with my family, personal experience with others, the service level is not to the level a hospital should be at. Is this new building with all this money going to make it different, or is this the same second verse, same as the first?
Thank you, Councillor. I think, Councillor, some of your statements, you are correct, but you said wages. It's not going to wages, it's going to building.
No, not wages.
You did say wages.
I'm sorry, if I said wages, I stand corrected. I'm talking about the service level of the hospital for people.
We all know that the service levels of the hospitals is a provincial issue that we're having at the moment, and I feel you, because I go to the hospital and I wait as well.
I know, but there are others that are much more efficient. The one we've got is close by, but it's not the one you want to go to if it's an emergency.
Well, I found even the Dunnville Hospital, the service levels have not like they used to be, because word's gotten out there and people are running there too. So the service-
Words got out because they're frustrated.
Yeah,
That's
the
my
s-
point,
service-
Mr. Chair.
Service levels are troublesome everywhere, Councillor, which we are aware of. I feel your pain, and I'm quite sure members of this committee feel your pain, and also members of the gallery and watching at home feel your pain. Anything further, Councillor?
We're trying to do our best. I just don't know if the results of this investment is going to make a difference. I wish I could feel more comfortable about it.
Correct. Thank you for your comments, Councillor. Members of the committee, anything else?
Okay, vote time.
Vote time. Me, Bruce, or no? No. not tonight. Your microphone, Councillor. Anybody left? And that carries. Thank you, members of committee. Moving on, item A27-24, Interim Chief Administration Officer and Treasurer Donna DeFilippis, Recommendation Report T13 2024, Development Charges Update Bylaw Expiry Date. Reads, Recommendation Report T13 2024 titled Development Charges Update Bylaw Expiry Date dated June 17th, 2024 be received, and that a bylaw 2024-42 be approved at the June 24th, 2024 council meeting, which removes the expiry date from the current development charge bylaw. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Bradrick, Mayor Ganan. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll be voting in front of you. And that carries. Moving on, item A 28-24, Fire Chief, Mr. Fisher. WLFD 0824, monthly update, May 2024. Recommendation that information report WLFD 08-2024 titled monthly update, May 2024, dated June 17th, 2024 be received for information. So any comments, Chief, or do you want to, nothing? Not to put you on the spot, but maybe. Anything you want to comment on?
Through you to members of committee, you'll see that you got a PDF file, an attachment that shows you the call volume for the month. That's the way it's going to continue for a little while until the NRP figures out how we get it back to the way we were. But that's the data we get right now from the new system.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I need a mover and seconder for the fire report. So first, before Mayor Ganan, seconded by Councillor Rayner. I had a question. Do you have a question, Councillor? I had the mayor first, and then I'll go to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually like this report. Because the kinds of things that I have been asking for about sort of that accumulation of what kinds of fires we're having, what kind of, the number of medical assists, the number of accidents, that's actually the sort of thing that I've been trying to keep on my own, so that when I'm at the region and we're talking about, what's going on, then I know what's happening here. And in fact, I wished I had had it the last time, because I had a meeting with our new police chief, and we were talking about the number of calls that are interrelated, and I didn't have that information. So I'm hopeful that they're not going to change it too much, otherwise I'm going to be bugging you still for that accumulation of stats, because sometimes it's the big picture, not so much month by month, but over time that we're really looking at. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Ganan. Councillor Rayner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question through to the acting CAO. I'm curious why under, it also can go to the fire chief, why PW 24-24, coming up on Public Works, which is a council accept tender submission from Circle P Paving for spot repairs and fire hall parking lot, why the fire hall parking lot wasn't part of this item?
We can probably go to Madam CAO or the clerk, one or the other. Go ahead, just name me.
Through you, Chairman Trombetta, to Councillor Rayner. So the report speaks to the provisional item that's in the hot mix repair tender, but the details are in the Public Works agenda, the report that's there. It speaks to the tender. So I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
No, I'm just wondering, we couldn't have got a breakdown, through you, Mr. Chair, we couldn't have got a breakdown from the Director of Public Works, and then you could have removed the fire hall parking lot from that, because that amount would have been somewhere in that 216,200, and then allocate that amount directly over across to item 2824, which would be directly related to the fire chief's presentation for the month. That's just my
Yeah,
thoughts.
through you, Chairman Trombetta, to Councillor Rayner. The report under Public Works is approval of the tender, and that's why the full amount is in that report, because that's actually what the tender came in at, and that's what council's approving. So that's why it was presented that way.
Okay, Mr. Chair, through you to the fire chief. Fire chief, is the fire hall completed now?
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Rayner, I expect that occupancy will be tomorrow or Wednesday.
If I may be blunt and direct,
The CBO did his final inspection, and there was a couple of things that needed to be corrected, and that was to happen today and Friday. So I'm hoping he's going out tomorrow for a final inspection for tomorrow or Wednesday.
You can be direct, but be mindful.
during my working career, part of my job was to do exactly that, build things, tear things down, rebuild them with an X number of dollars and a timeline. I've always been on time and I've been on budget. This is over a year late. It's probably the biggest township mismanagement train wreck that I have experienced. It's just inexcusable to me why a project of a mere $4 million of a relatively simple project could be over a year late, This is just beyond me. It's an important service. It should take priority. And it's the most long, drawn-out, dragged-out capital project I've ever experienced in my life, in private or public life. And I'm glad to see it's coming to an end. There's various reasons, I'm sure, why. But it just absolutely baffles me. And through to the chair, to the interim CAO, is there a holdback on this project? Is there anything related to the responsibility of the builder to be on a timeline or face penalties far in excess of probably anybody's ever done before, because I don't know of any project that could be dragged this long. Normally they're a month late or 2 month or 3 month late, but over a year. Is there anything the township can do to recoup some of the costs of this disastrous project?
So I will first go to the chief, because the chief will explain first off the reason, the reason why he wasn't here the duration of the project. So I will go.
Oh, I understand. I'm not blaming a person.
No, I know. I understand what you're saying, Counselor, but I'll go to him because I'm quite sure he'd love to speak to this instead of just sitting and sort of, listening, because it does sound directed at, but he wasn't here, so he has a right to kind of.
This is not directed at the fire chief.
I understand, and I'm
I
glad.
want to be very clear on that. We have a commitment with a company that was supposed to build us on a timeline. It was our responsibility to ensure that they stayed on the timeline. That didn't happen, so some of the problem is the mismanagement that I mentioned. But the ultimate thing is the responsibility of the contractor, and if the contractor couldn't do it on time, then there should be financial retributions to the township to make up for this tremendous amount of inconvenience that it's cost the taxpayers in this township.
And there is liquidated damages and those kind of things. So I'll turn to the chief at the moment. Go, Chief.
Through you to Councillor Rayner. I feel your pain, walking in, being off for 16 months while the project was going on, and certainly no fault of the deputy chief either. We ran into some issues with the mechanical trade. Unfortunately, that set us back. I'm not going to get into huge details, but we are moving forward. We are getting there. As far as the holdback, I'll let the interim CAO discuss that with you. It's unfortunate. It's frustrating me. It's frustrating members of council. We should have been in last May, and here we are, June of another year. Yeah, it hurts. I hate to see it the way it is, but we're moving forward. Guys are looking forward to moving in, hopefully by the end of the week, and we'll move forward and put it behind us.
Go ahead, Madam CAO.
Thank you, Chairman Trombetta, to Councillor Rayner. The township does have holdbacks in place for this project. There was no penalty for being late. That was not written into the contract. We did do a site visit about 2 weeks ago, I believe. I met with the architect and staff from the Nikon, and we made it very clear how we feel about what's going on. And I think from that meeting, we've seen a lot more action going on for completion. After the occupancy is given, there will be a walkthrough where we provide a list of all the deficiencies that we see, and then they will be addressed. And we echo your feelings, Councillor Rayner. This is not something we wanted to happen either. And we're probably just as upset, if not more upset, than you are.
Mr. Chair, regarding the interim CAO's comments, she said that they met and they're working and they're progressing to get it done. That sort of meeting should have occurred 18 months ago, 5 months before the due date of that building being done, knowing that the thing was slowing down, knowing that it wasn't getting done in the timeline, knowing that we did not have a contract that said you were going to get penalized. So there's no pressure on them. If they want to take 10 years, they're not going to get penalized for it. So there was no incentive on them other than us being down their throat every week, which was part of my job when I was doing major projects up to 15 million 25 years ago, which would be $30 million projects today. You meet every week, you're on top of them, you make their life miserable because you know, and they know that it's got to get done. And they'll get it done because they want you out of their hair. But that didn't happen. So the other thing that's important, I'm the only one that lives very close. Well, you live close, but not near as close as I do. I see the tower from my place. I go by the building all the time. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy that it's so close to the road, and I'm especially not happy that it's facing the wrong direction. I live out there. I know what the weather conditions are like, and I want it on public record tonight that I'm saying it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when somebody is probably going to lose their life because that building was built wrong. I have been at my place only 4 years. I have had one storm that put 6 feet of snow up against my southwest side of my house. You get 6 feet of snow, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you get an emergency fire call, and you can't get those trucks out maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes later. That's the difference between life and death. It may not happen this year. It may not happen next year. It may not happen until 10 years. But the position of that building against the storms is going to cost somebody their life. And I want that on record because I can see it coming.
Well, those are your comments,
So
Councillor.
we've got a lot about this fire hall
Well-
that's ticking me off right now, and every time I drive by that thing, I just cringe.
Okay.
And now we brought it up again because of the asphalt, which almost got put down by mistake because somebody wasn't thinking ahead again. Thank goodness for council got ahead of it. But I mean, everything seems to be a screw-up relating to this building.
So,
And
one, I'm going to just, those are your comments. Let's pray that those things do not happen.
I know, but when
Okay,
you
I don't
don't
wanna-
look at it when you're building
I-
it, you create situations that you could have prevented the possibility of it happening. If it was built the way the other one was, which smart people 60 years ago knew to put it on the east side, not the west side, because that protects it from the storms and those doors will be free. Those people were smart back then. The homework wasn't done on this building, and somebody down the road is gonna pay for it.
But that was a public works yard back in the day.
Yeah, and they built it in the right direction
Okay,
because they
well,
know.
it wasn't a fire hall. It's two different things.
Mr. Chair, if you go out in the Caister Center area, we have huge storms at 80, 100. I have walked outside and I couldn't stand. I'm 220, 6'2", and I have to
Counselor.
brace myself. The winds are so
Counselor,
strong.
I live just as close as you do to the fire hall.
No, you don't. You live twice as
Oh,
far away as
I
I do.
understand the storms, but I've lost many things in the storms too. I get it. So I feel your concerns. One, the CAO is acting CAO. She wasn't the CAO during the project. So we can't expect,
I'm just telling you that it's.
no, and I'm just trying to defend.
I'm not after to hurt anybody. I'm just saying we have a potential problem down there that could cost somebody their life.
I understand, but I want, because we are on public record, that the CAO acting at the moment was not the CAO during the project. So that when I make these comments to you, Counselor, it's not because you're saying incorrect things, it's stating the fact, because to the public, they might not know that. So she was not the CAO during the time of the manager.
The easiest-
Nor the chief was here during the time.
I understand that. I have not
But
accused the chief
I
of.
understand, but I'm just trying to get that on record as well as you're putting your comments on record.
Mr. Chair, you live in my area, you understand. It's so
I
simple
tot-
to understand. You drive down the road, you see horse farms. You look at the sheds they have out in the fields to protect the horses from the storms. What do they protect the horses from? The southwest direction. And it's just down the road on 65, you will see these buildings out in the field. They're there in that particular position for a reason. Because if they didn't put it in that direction, they're not protecting the horses.
Okay.
So the same thing exists with those doors. They are going to be hammered with 80, 100-kilometer winds, and they're going to have 6 feet of snow up against them in less than 2
Okay,
hours.
so let's not put the cart before this horse.
No, but it's gonna
All right,
happen.
so let's not put this cart before the horse. Let's not wish on these things. You have your comments for the record. I stated our comments, and let's move on from this. Can we not now? We have
Just one other comment I want to make, please.
Quick one, please.
I indicated with the ice cream facility on the corner of 20 Road and Caister Center Road that having the public out front instead of in the back could possibly result in somebody losing control going around that bend because everybody drives fast and they could kill people in front of that ice cream place. Apparently a car wiped out going through that area. Thank goodness nobody was there. I said about a year and a half ago, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and when happened. And I'm telling you the same thing with this fire hall. I'm not a young man, I've been around, I've seen a lot, I'm telling you the truth. This situation is dangerous. That's all I'm telling you.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
Any other comments? Any other comments, Chief? Microphone, Counselor. Well, thought this night would be going a little quicker. Moving on to other business. Intern Chief Administrative Officer Don DeFilippis, staff accomplishments. 1, Jenny Fisher, Mental Health First Aid Standards, Mental Health Commission of Canada. Sarah Petrina, Municipal Tax Administration Unit 1, Seneca College. Caitlin Rapov's Next Generation Municipal Leadership Certificate, Brock University, and Rural Municipal Drainage Course and Calculating Drainage Act Assessments Course, University of Guelph. Madam CAO, do you want to comment on any of this?
Through you, Chairman Trombetta. I just want to comment that it's wonderful to see that staff are continuing their professional development and continuing to take courses. And all these courses are quite relevant to the township and the service that these staff provide. So I'm very happy to have this on the agenda.
Great, thank you. Any comments? Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to item A30-24, members of committee, any verbal updates, members of boards or committees, if you guys are on. Any board comments? Councilor Rayner?
Nothing at this time.
Madam CAO? No. Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that the Age Friendly Advisory Committee did a wonderful job on Friday morning with their forum. I think about 160 some odd people listening to the speaker at one given time, which was really marvelous. I think it's fair to point out that we had also about 45 storefronts. And the storefronts are agencies or organizations that provide information to older adults or provide opportunities to get involved in the community. But because many of those people also, who came early to set up, are volunteers, they sat in to listen to the speaker as well, which was an anti-fraud presentation. And so then people left that presentation as it ended and came to the storefront. So it was a very busy time in the community center, and I was very pleased to see how it worked out. So thank you to the committee for doing that work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Bradrick? And I don't have any. Moving on to A31-24, members of council, other business of an informative nature. Councilor Rayner, anything informative?
Not other than thank you.
Okay. Madam CAO? Mr. Clerk? Madam Mayor? Councilor Bradrick? Okay, moving on to new business. We don't have any confidential matters. There are none, and we'll adjourn this portion of this meeting at 7:04.
Welcome to the Township of West Lincoln Public Works and Recreation Committee Agenda, meeting number 5 for Monday, June the 17th. I'm the chair of the meeting tonight, Mike Rayner. Any comments can be made from the public for a matter that is on the agenda by advising the chair during the request to address an item on the agenda section of the agenda. The public may submit written comments for matters that are on the agenda to jpaylove@westlincoln.ca before 4:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting for consideration by the committee. Comments received after 4:30 p.m. on the day of the committee meeting will be considered at the following council meeting. Comments submitted are included in the record. This meeting will be live streamed as well as recorded and available on the township's website. Land acknowledgement statement. The Township of West Lincoln, being part of the Niagara region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as Wendirondak, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Township of West Lincoln, as part of the Regional Municipality of Niagara, stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wide stewardship of the lands on which we live. To members of committee, is there any change in the order of items on the agenda you wish to adjust? Seeing none, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest from any members of this committee? Seeing none, there are also no appointments tonight. Request to address items on the agenda. Kevin, is there anybody in cyberspace that's out there?
Not seeing any, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And there's nobody from the public. So we'll move on to consent agenda items. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial and can be approved by one resolution. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests it, in which case the item will be removed from the consent resolution and considered immediately following adoption of the remaining consent agenda items. Item PW 23-24, consent items, recommendation that the Public Works Recreation Committee hereby approves the following consent agenda items. The West Lincoln Public Library Board minutes of April 23rd, 2024. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Councilor Bradrick and Madam Mayor, any questions from members of committee? Madam Mayor, you want to pull the only one?
I would like to pull the only one.
So I guess we'll just
for
continue right along.
Just for a quick question, since I see that our library CEO is there. So when I read the minutes, Madam CEO, I saw that the intention was in those minutes to come to council on May 27th with the strat plan presentation. So I'm just wondering if, obviously that didn't happen and we had a really full agenda, so I'm glad it didn't happen, but I'm wondering if you have future plans for when that will occur.
We don't have a date at this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
That's all.
anything,
No.
any other members? Seeing none, I guess it's voting time, Kev. Mine hasn't come on, everybody else's? Oh, you got it, we got it now. That is carried. Thank you. Moving on, there's no communications tonight. And staff reports, item PW 24-24. Manager of Operations, Trey Benish, and Director of Public Works and Recreation, Mike Capola. Recommendation report, PW-17-2024. 2024 hot mix spot repair program tender authorization. Recommendation 1, that the recommendation report, PW-17-2024, titled 2024 Hot Mix Spot Repair Program Tender Authorization dated June 17, 2024 be received, and that council accept the tender submission by Circle P Paving for the paving of spot repairs on Fire Hall parking lot in the amount of $216,200 plus HST, and that a bylaw be passed to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter an agreement with Circle P Paving. Do I have a mover and a seconder on this, please? Councilor Trombetta and Madam Mayor. Any questions from committee? None? I have to Michael. Circle P was the one we've had for the last couple of years, is it not, Mr. Director?
That is correct, Councillor.
I am pleased to see that they're back, because I drive over a lot of the areas that they repair, and these guys really take care and they really do a good job. So I'm very pleased for the sake of the township and the people who drive these roads that we've got very competent people coming in to do those repairs. Thank you, sir. Following that, no further questions. We can vote. And that carries too. Thank you. Item PW 25-24, Coordinator of Recreation Services, Wendy Beatty, and Director of Public Works and Recreation, Mike DiPaula. Recommendation Report, REC-05-2024, Santa Claus Parade Committee Update. Recommendation 1, that Recommendation Report, REC-05-2024, titled Santa Claus Parade Committee Update, dated June 17, 2024, be received, and that Council approve the dissolution of the Santa Claus Parade Committee effective immediately. Need a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Trombetta and Madam Mayor. Any questions from members of committee? Councillor Trombetta. See your hand up
Mr.
again.
Chair, to the Director, just some questions regarding the dissolve of this committee is because we have that new events position. Is that the reason why?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Trombetta. Yeah, that is correct. Back in April of 2023, Council had a resolution to try to get staff more involved with helping the subcommittee run the Christmas event or the Christmas parade. And then we provided a report back in September of 2023 where we made some staffing modifications to be more involved with the Santa Claus parade event, to kind of take on the liability and help on the committee. And then as part of this year's capital budget, we approved a temporary events planner position to kind of make this a township event. So because it's a township run event, it's only appropriate to dissolve the subcommittee of council. We do plan to rely on volunteers to help us run the event. So once this is taken care of and the subcommittee is dissolved, then we'll be putting out a volunteer call out to get some members of the public to help staff with the parade and organizing the event and training the appropriate volunteers to make sure they know what their duties are.
Okay, just because the way, this is please nothing at staff, just the way it's written, some people might pick up that we're dissolving the committee effectively immediately and then there's no Santa Claus parade, so I just wanted that for the record, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chair, through you to the Director. Most of my question was answered by Councillor Trombetta's question, but is the passing of the torch really been completed from the committee, or is there not much of a committee left to the event coordinator? I'm just, I guess, a bit surprised that the committee still wouldn't maybe function during some of the planning process of this year, maybe in a different terms of reference capacity. So, yeah, that was my one question still.
Mr. Director?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Bradrick. Yeah, we didn't revise the terms of reference because we just wanted to run the event as if it was a township event and only rely on volunteers to help us. So there is no terms of reference for a subcommittee of council. As far as passing the torch, there are a few members left of that committee. So once this gets approved and ratified by council, we'll reach out to those 4 or 5 members that are still on the committee and let them know that the committee's been dissolved. The only other thing that we need to do is kind of transition the subcommittee had their own website and their own social media channel, for lack of a better word, to promote the Santa Claus parade. So we'll have to transition that and kind of move the website over to the township website and to our social media platforms. So that's kind of really the only passing of the torch that really needs to take place.
Okay, I wish the success for this year's Santa Claus parade.
Thank you. Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question sort of piggybacks a little bit on Councillor Bradrick, in that with the transition, I'm wondering, and I actually was asking our interim CAO about that too, just where we are in terms of whether bands were connected with right after the last parade, whether we've done anything about that. I know that there are some areas that already pretty much have a lot of that stuff set, and I'm hoping that we aren't behind the 8 ball on that a little bit. So do you happen to know, Director, whether any of that preliminary work has been done?
Yeah, through the chair, yes, that preliminary work has been done. Well, after near the end of summer, then it really ramps up with a lot more detailed planning. But a lot of the preliminary work, such as securing bands and stuff like that, is being done and has been done.
Good, because that's the kind of thing that needs to be
Yeah.
done well in advance. You can pull the
Correct.
rest together at the last, but, okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions? Time to vote, sir. And that carries. Moving on to item PW 26-24, Manager of Operations Trey Benish and Director of Public Works and Recreation Mike DiPaula. Recommendation report PW-18-2024, the 2024 tractor with attachments, purchase authorization, and amendment to budget. Recommendation 1, the recommendation report PW-18-2024 titled 2024 Tractor with Attachments, Purchase Authorization and Amendment to Budget, dated June the 17th, 2024, be received, and that council accept the RFP submission by Deere & Company for the supply and delivery of the 2024 tractor with attachments, supplied by Premier Equipment Limited in the amount of $278,395, and that council approve a budget amendment, BA 2024-05, in the amount of $84,000 funded through a transfer from the Equipment Reserve, and that staff be authorized to proceed with the purchase from Premier Equipment Limited. Need a mover, please? Madam Mayor, seconder, Councilor Trombetta. Any questions from members of committee with regards to this? Okay, I have a few for the director, please. I myself have purchased tractor from Premier Equipment, as a lot of people I know. John Deere has an equipment purchase arrangement that they have with the people who buy new equipment, and that is 6-year at 0% financing, which I certainly took advantage of, and it was great. Was that applicable in any way to the Township of West Lincoln for the purchase of this new equipment, sir?
Yeah, through the chair, that is a great question. Because we kind of secured this equipment through a joint procurement process, and because we're getting a government discount on this equipment, the 0% financing option does not apply. It's either you get the government discount, so, and I think the report mentions how much of a savings there will be off of the MSRP. So because we're getting the massive discount or the discounted price, there is no 0% financing option. It's one or the other.
Okay, because in purchasing my tractor, for example, that the MSRP is fine, but that's not what you pay. You negotiate with, and you may have trades, you may have everything else, but you never pay the price they want. You pay they try to get as close as they can to it. So I'm just wondering if that would make a difference, because I know we don't pay the exact full price on any equipment. When you buy farm equipment, it's always negotiable, but in this particular case, it's pretty black and white then. So my next question would be, most farm equipment, when you replace your tractor, you don't replace your implements. Your implements, if you look after them, take good care of them, they last for a number of tractors. In this particular case, can you give us an update with regards to the implements that you need that are required that cannot be salvaged, saved, or have a good lifespan left on them in order to reduce this price? Because I believe the implement prices are actually, when you total it up, are greater than the price of the tractor. Is that not true, Mr. Director?
Yes, through the chair. The rear and side mower attachments, as well as the boom attachments, they are actually priced. The cost of those are actually more than the tractor. Unfortunately, the attachments are the same age as the tractor. They're 12 years, so they're nearing the end or at the end of their service life. So we're just decided to purchase them. In order to use those types of older attachments on the new model tractor, There will be some modifications that you have to make to the new tractor as well as the attachments to put it on. So staff felt that, the cost to make those modifications just for a few years was not really a fiscally responsible decision. So we just decided to replace the tractor as well as the attachments due to their age.
Mr. Director, how old was that equipment that you're replacing?
Oh, sorry. The equipment is 12 years old. And the
Okay.
tractor is 12 years old as well.
Okay, now normally when the township in the past sells their equipment, it's usually gone off to Bryant's wholesale auction place located in Push Lynch, which is very close to Morriston on the way to the U of G. Is that where this equipment is probably going to be wholesaled off? Is that what you intend? You're only going to sell it, obviously, after you receive the new equipment and it's in operation and everything's fine, but there will be a sale of that equipment, would that be correct?
Through the chair, that is correct. Once we get the new equipment, then we'll be reselling our older equipment as per our, I don't know what our policy is called there, disposal asset policy.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
will auction that stuff off.
Thank you. Through to the CAO, Donna, that $278,000 therefore will not be the total price, would not be the price that we're actually going to pay for this equipment. We will obviously pay whatever we can get on wholesale for all that equipment. Would the CAO, acting CAO, bring that forward to council, just as a point of interest when we do sell the equipment? Tractors, lots, especially John Deere's, hold their value. You could have a lot of hours on them, but everybody loves a green tractor. And there's nothing in the agricultural business that holds value more than something painted green. So we're going to probably get a good dollar for this. And it would be really nice to see, as the taxpayers are realizing we have to pay $278,000 for this, for something that's probably going to last, hopefully, at least 10 to 12 years. But we're also going to recoup some of this in the sale of the equipment that we got, and that's important. So that number really isn't the final number. It's going to be less than that, correct?
Through you, Chairman Rayner. So I've made note when the Finance Department is back to its regular FTE, we will start doing our monthly updates. We haven't been doing them. And I will make note that once this sells on Gov Deals, that we will include in our report what the proceeds were.
Good. Thank you. Any other questions from members? Seeing none, we can vote. Thank you. Okay, the next one is, this one's carried, thank you. The next one is PW 27-24. Project Manager Ray Vachon and Director of Public Works and Recreation Mike DePaula. This is the information report, PW-16-2024, 15-mile municipal drain maintenance. Recommendation that information report, PW-16-2024, titled 15-mile municipal drain maintenance, dated June 17, 2024, be received for information. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Bradrick, Councilor Trombetta, seconded. Any questions from members of committee with regards to this? We were talking about this earlier today with the director, and I said there's an error now because of Trudeau and our government. It's now not 15-mile creek, it's 25-kilometer creek. But he said, I think for heritage, we'll leave it the way it is in the imperial system, so. Good for a joke, it is.
Heritage is very important, Councillor.
Thank you, I agree with that. All right, up for vote time.
I got a question.
Oh, we have a vote?
Well,
No.
my hand was up. I don't have a vote to vote.
All right, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Director, the Van Buren drain is different from this one? Am I correct here, or am I incorrect?
I believe it's a completely different train.
It's completely
Yeah.
different drain, okay, because I have been getting some drainage things, so I just want that clarification. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No? Councilor Trombetta anymore?
No, thanks for letting me have one.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. Okay, we can vote now, thank you. Okay, other business, item PW 28-24, members of council, is there any other business of an informative nature? Seeing none. New business, anybody? I have one. I'd have to be removed from this position. Would Councilor Trombetta be good enough to allow me to speak on this? Why? First I have to see if I can get a mover and a seconder. Okay, the subject matter is regards to train tracks on Industrial Park Road. If I could have a mover and a seconder, I'd like to discuss that further, please. And I have we have a mover. Okay, Councillor Bradrick and Councillor Trombetta. All those in favor of me speaking on it?
Stepping down?
Yeah, I step down.
Now I can, that's why.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll just, there. Don't want any confusion for the public. Go ahead, Councillor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to bring this to the attention of members of committee because it's been going on for a long time, and something needs to be done before we're going to end up destroying vehicles trying to cross the railway tracks just north of Home Hardware.
Depot. Wow.
Heading on Industrial Park Road towards Spring Creek. That is an absolute disaster, those tracks. And if you go more than about 10 kilometers an hour, you're going to destroy your suspension system. And it's really unacceptable. And I had discussions with the director about this, and he is also frustrated because he has also tried to deal with it. And through you, Mr. Chair, to the director, if you can bring us up to date on what agreements we have with them, what money we have spent with the railway, who do you think is responsible, and possibly putting together a motion that we could send a directive to somebody in a responsible position, because everything we've done so far has resulted in nothing being done.
Sure. Through the chair to Councillor Rayner. Yeah, so the maintenance of the roadway at the rail track is the responsibility of the rail authority, and in this case, it's CP Rail. Staff have reached out to CP Rail numerous times over the years with, just basically explaining the condition of the tracks and how we're constantly getting complaints and claims for damages. And CP just acknowledges it and says that they will maintain that area, but nothing has really happened. We even ramped it up to to Transport Canada, because they're kind of the governing body to make sure that the rail authority does what they're responsible for. And Transport Canada has expressed our concern to CP Rail and has basically told us the same thing, that CP Rail is aware of the condition and they will maintain it and fix it. Nothing has really happened. There is an agreement where CP Rail basically is responsible for 8 crossings throughout town, and they actually invoice us monthly for that maintenance work. So as we talked about earlier today, staff has done everything possible to try to get CP to fix the condition of the tracks there. If this council wishes, perhaps a motion that a letter gets sent to CP and maybe copy Transport Canada and the local MP, just expressing our frustration. Maybe that'll be helpful. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I think it's very clear from our director, he's done everything he possibly could. He's frustrated. And what I didn't know until today, and I don't know if other committee members realize this, we're paying them to maintain the tracks, and yet they're doing absolutely nothing. So the first thing I would do would be stop payment and say, look, we've been polite, we've been nice, obviously you're not understanding what we're saying, so we're not giving you a maintenance fee when you're doing absolutely no maintenance on that track. And we have brought it to your attention, and we're getting nowhere. So that would be one direction. The other direction would be the memo. The memo is going to be the long trail. It's going to take a long time to get an answer. Possibly holding the check may get a quicker response. We don't like to go that way, but we've done the polite, gentle, professional, political correct way of doing things, and we basically got a slap in the face for it. So we've got to resort to stage 2. which could be the memo. Stage 3 could be pulling the money back. I don't know. But something needs to be done, Mr. Chair, because that is getting to the point where it's really going to wreck a vehicle. I mean, I believe Mike said there already was damage done to
I
vehicles.
tend to agree with you on this one, Counselor, because I'm quite sure members of this committee, we've all had calls on this issue. And it's not a couple weeks ago, it was years, and nothing's been done. So maybe we can put a motion together this evening. I would like to have them pull them in, and we can say they can come present to us and what's their services giving us, and maybe we can combine something in. First, we'll send the letter, and then, you know, if that doesn't work, maybe we have to get them to come in and say, you know, or we have to look at the confines of the contract. But I think members of committee really agree with you on this, because we've been dealing with this for a while, and I think this is the right time, and you should put together a motion to do something, correct?
Mr. Chair, were you aware that we were actually paying a maintenance fee? Did other members of committee realize
Well, that's why
we're
I-
actually paying a
But
fee and
that's
getting
why-
nothing?
But that's why now it just opened my eyes even more to
A slap in the face is what we're getting.
haul them in at some point and deal with them directly. Like, the CP does make enough money to come maintain, and a lot of residents are coming to us and nothing's getting done. And staff have worked tirelessly to get, because I've reached out to staff about this issue too on industrial parks, so I'm quite sure all members of committee have. So, Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So obviously that's been going on for a long time. That is the number one thing I hear from residents. But if we're going to go that route in terms of some kind of a letter, then we need to include 16 Road. We need to include South Grimsby 5, which is also getting to be in pretty rough shape. So in most cases, the 8 that we're responsible, or they're responsible for looking at, are all in terrible shape, with Industrial Park being the worst. But even Station Street going out, which was repaired a while back, is getting to be almost as bad again. So certainly if we're going to make it going after one, we certainly need to bring their
Absolutely.
attention to
So-
all of the crossings, so.
We'll have to come up with some sort of motion. I would like to get their answers why they haven't been maintaining.
But it is federal, you know, you're not going to get them to come before a small local council, no matter how you try.
Correct.
But I think certainly we need to reach out in some
This-
other form, because I know, I've been speaking with the director, and I spoke with the director previous to the director, you know, when we had Brent Julian here, it was the same thing. It's been a problem
Okay, so
consistently
maybe
for
we can
years.
compile a motion that also puts our local, MP, you said it's federal, so it's Dean, right?
Yes.
So we'll put our local MP on it, and we can get a motion put together. So, Mr. Clerk, if you have something kind of written together that we can fit in that Councilor Rayner wants.
So far I have that staff draft a letter of correspondence to be sent to CP Rail, our local area MP, not MPP. I don't have the rest of it though. Are we sending it to anybody else? Is that okay?
Well, maybe the director can
The
help us.
director would be the best
I
one
would, in addition to local MP, perhaps Transport Canada, because they're kind of the regulatory body to make sure rail authorities and other road authorities and any other type of transportation authorities, own up to their responsibility. So Transport Canada would be another one.
And then if that gets fallen on deaf ears, maybe we can write another memo saying something else, that we hold payment until we do get some
Yeah.
correspondence back, right? So, but that'll be in the future though, Council. We don't say anything.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the director then should look at all those 8 ones and decide which ones need attention. Now, there's one on Grimsby Mountain Road, heading towards Grimsby and the waste management site. They did a really nice job when they redid that one. And it's not bad, but when they do it, they tend to do they just don't do it very often, and most of the time, they just let them go to pieces. So you need to pick the ones so that we're in control in our memo, that we know exactly the ones that are outstanding to us in this township. They may be all in your opinion, maybe you don't like Grimsby anymore, maybe it is coming apart.
Well, let's hear this motion put together by the clerk.
So the rest of it, through the chair to Councilor Rayner and to the rest of council, our local area MP and Transport Canada in regards to the failure of road maintenance of local railway crossings.
And that could be then in particular, if you want to name the ones that
Then you name-
you know.
Are you good with that, sir?
Yeah, I'm good with that. There, as I said earlier, there's 8 crossings on township roads that they're responsible for. So we could list what the crossings are in the letter.
If there's anything else the director wants to add to it, like if we send it back and you think of something tomorrow that you want to add, please feel free to
that's fine.
add that in there, right? If we're missing something that, or some agency that we're missing as a council, please do. If that's okay, if you can.
So through the chair, just the rest of council, just as a final clarification, so that staff draft a letter of correspondence to be sent to CP Rail, our local area MP, and Transport Canada in regards to the failure of road maintenance of local railway crossings.
Do we need, or also, because that's not only used by Canadian Pacific, isn't it used by other, do we need maybe our local MPP as well on that? Or no?
No, I think,
Sam is aware, because he lives out here,
He crosses those too, so he'll say yes. I
yeah,
wouldn't
so
hurt to
it's,
put him on it as well, right? So,
Yeah, we've had that, sorry, okay, I guess I'm on. We've had that discussion with MPP Osterhoff as well, in terms of that, and he also gets complaints and sort of, kicks it up that he doesn't have control over that, but he certainly is aware.
Okay.
It never hurts to include people so that
Absolutely.
he knows that we're reaching out anyway, so
okay, all right.
All right.
better too many
Why
people
move
on a
it?
letter than too few.
Move that?
And we don't share any with any other communities, do we? Like any, off the top of your head,
We
Director?
do if it involves other communities. If we're just looking at our own specifics, I think in
Okay.
maybe the first go-round, we don't.
Yeah.
We just see if we get any kind of a response, and then if we're going to take some action, maybe others are in the same boat. We
Okay,
might also be
perfect.
looking at
Okay.
doing something similar.
That's good.
So this motion is moved by Councillor Rayner. I'll need a seconder before I open it to voting. Okay. Everybody okay?
It did, yeah. I mean, I support anyways, yeah. Oh, I was using Councilor Rayner's. We've, didn't- yeah,
Jason's now.
but we both support, sorry, I forgot to switch.
Still went through. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Trombetta. Gonna close out the meeting. Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other new items of business anybody else wishes to bring forward at this time? Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to mention that, just to members of council, that interim CAO Dee Philippus and I are taking part in a roundtable regarding high-speed internet on the 20th in the afternoon. So if you have any thoughts or ideas or input regarding that you want us to share at that roundtable, it is a good opportunity. I know that, it's happening in some areas. I also know we have a lot of blank spaces where nothing has really happened. If you have, in the next day or so, a little bit of time to send an email to let us know, we'll be happy to pass on any information that you have regarding that topic.
I have a comment.
Thank you. Okay, is that, you're okay? Okay, Councillor Trombetta.
Yeah, so this meeting is for, sorry, Madam Mayor, it's just for SWIFT, the SWIFT broadband meeting? Or
No,
what?
it's with the Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma.
Yeah.
And she is holding, for small municipalities, a roundtable discussion. So she will be there. They're just taking input from whomever. I just thought it was a good opportunity if you have some ideas or some thoughts that you want
Okay.
passed on, those will go directly to that
So
minister.
the issues I'm getting from some of my constituents are, there is a main feeder line that was done by the SWIFT program that access, sort of a main line that goes from, let's say, the south portion of West Lincoln to the north portion of West Lincoln. So let's say from Casterville all the way up through to Mudd. But it's just one main feeder line, and these side roads have no access to tying into this fiber optics cable that's been brought in by the federal government. So that's the main issue, is saying, well, how do we tie into it, or what corporations are gonna be running the branch lines off this main feeder line?
So that's the kind of thing I'm concerned about. because I know, when I talk to residents, that it's hit and miss all over.
Correct.
I know in town, well, you know, because I couldn't even join from my house a meeting here because the internet in town, which everybody assumes is better than outside of town, is not necessarily so, especially in older subdivisions. So, so again, if there's something out your way, Councillor Bradrick, or something Councillor Rayner's way, and I'll
So like I
certainly speak
said,
to the
there is-
others.
we
There is
have
one.
one major line going all
Right
the way
across,
down,
yeah.
right across, through Highway 20, through 20 Road, through Highway 20, but it divides Ward 1, but all those intersections and all those side
Yeah.
streets have still no access to high-speed internet.
Okay, well, anyway, I just.
Just so they know that.
I've
this is
made
what
note
we're
of that.
looking for.
I think that will be the message probably, because I think that people who live in other parts that of the province, especially people who live in major cities, assume that now, because there's been so much talk about rural internet, that it's happening and it's happening well. And I know, in speaking even to some of my colleagues, that it's not happening well in even other parts of Niagara. So I just want to have some factual information, so if we're
the-
going to present
And just
our-
another note, maybe you can write these numbers down. The average speed in the rural area is 25 down, 25 up, no, it's 25 down, 9 up.
So
Which is,
25 to download, but to upload, no.
to upload is, the speed is 25 to 9, which is very, very, very slow,
Yeah, okay.
right? And according to our.
It's faster
What
than
is
a
the
rotary
average
phone.
out here, maybe we could say, Kevin? What's our average speed here?
Okay.
What's the number, like, in the urban area, what would be the number in the urban area, like an average? Bruce, somebody, what would be an average? Anybody? It's like
100, oh, all right. Okay, anything else, Councillor Trombetta?
a lot higher, right? So that's just the issue that we do have,
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, where they're in probably the, probably about 100 in the urban
And I know they
area.
were looking to something like 50/30
Yeah.
or something was the goal,
Yeah.
but we're obviously a long way from that, so.
I've got a call from York Road that they stopped short of their house,
What do you got, Bruce?
so they need to go farther south
well,
on
they-
York
They
Road.
need to go a lot of places, yeah.
84 up?
So they just went partway down York Road and they stopped. And
Yeah, thank you.
unfortunately, they stopped one house short of this guy who really, really wanted it. Oh,
So, Madam Mayor, right now, our speed here is 46 up?
46 down,
83 up. So that's how we're struggling in the rural areas. That's
Okay.
all. And that's the best private or best internet corporation, which is Niagara Wireless Internet for our area, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry I gave you a lot of information there.
No, that's okay. I expected an email, but I've jotted down your notes.
It's
Thank
okay.
you.
find it confusing. I don't know much about this stuff, but we have no trouble with Enwick.
I gave her the numbers. That's the difference, though.
Okay, any other new business? Seeing none, there's no confidential matters tonight, so this meeting will now adjourn at 7:45 PM.